All right, back with you, San Diego sports leader. It is the mighty 1090, Darren Smith. The Mountain West Conference Tournament gets underway. It starts tomorrow at 12 noon, New Mexico Air Force, and then a little later on, 2:30, it'll be UNLV in Nevada. A lot of people in San Diego obviously will be paying attention to that game. The winner of that game advances to face the Aztecs. The Aztecs, the Co-Mountain West Conference regular season champs. As we do each and every week, we say hello to Brian Dutcher. He is the AHC, the HCIW, and he joins us on the mighty 1090. Hello, Dutch, and congratulations.
Thanks, Darren. It felt good to hang another banner, which we will do at the start of next year, and excited to play the second part of the season, which is the postseason.
Well, we have a lot to talk about. Let me start with what you just mentioned there, which is hanging a banner, because this became a topic. I don't want to say it was a topic in all of San Diego, but we brought it up on the show. And you have to understand, and I know you do, Dutch, that we live in a weird culture where people complain about everything. Was there any discussion for you guys whatsoever, even though you end up as the 2 seed here? You guys are the co-champs. Did you guys talk at all about, whether or not you should drop the confetti, knowing that Boise State had won, knowing that Boise State had beaten you twice? Was this a discussion at all inside of your athletic department?
No. I mean, this is a conference championship. This is something to be treasured, to be excited about, and in 8 years, someone's not going to come back and say when they see that banner, wasn't that the year that they split with Boise and shared the title? They're going to say it was a conference championship. So obviously that's something that people discuss, the day it happens. But this is and part of the greatness is this is our 9th one since we've been here, which is most in the Mountain West. We surpassed New Mexico as winning the most conference titles, and so it's kind of special to us.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad you said that. I just wondered inside the athletic department if that's something you guys discuss, because, we just live in a time with Twitter and social media and in talk radio. I don't want to make it sound like we're above this sort of conversation, where people wondered why you would call yourselves co-champions when Boise State had beaten you twice. And that's the way the league is set up. So if the league tells you that you are co-champions, then you have every right in the world to say, yeah, that's exactly who we are.
Absolutely. And it's not this is not a true round-robin conference anymore.
Right.
So sometimes you might miss a game. They lost to Wyoming at the start of the season and then didn't have to play them a second time. So we didn't have to go to Utah State at the start of the year. We'd say, oh, man, we don't get to go to Utah State. Well, it turns out Utah State was pretty good. So there are going to be times where maybe you get beat by a team twice, and maybe there are times you miss out on a tough opponent that you were supposed to play. So at the end of the year, you win as many games as you can, and you take with great pride the fact that you have won enough to win another conference championship. And we do that. I think the only thing, Darren, that was strange about this year is last year was almost so unexpected because we were down 16 in the second half of New Mexico and made the charge of a lifetime to win that game, and it was like everybody was on the edge of their seats. This game, when you're playing with an 18, 19, 20-point lead the whole second half, it's a little anticlimactic when it ends. People are actually saying, well, let's beat some of the traffic out and get out of here. Because it's not the first one. I mean, people have gotten a little ho-hum like, oh, the Aztecs won again. Trust me, we don't feel that way. We are excited about every one we're able to claim.
Talking to Brian Dutcher. He's the AHC, the HCIW. That stands for Associate Head Coach in Waiting. Do you feel like today, Dutch, I know you're focused on the Mountain West Conference Tournament, and I know you coaches are all paranoid, but do you feel like you're in the NCAA tournament? Do you feel like you guys have done enough?
I think so now, Darren, at this point. I think we've done enough. Every time you happen to glance at the brackets, we're always solidly in there. No one talks about us as a bubble team. I don't think we've been talked about as a bubble team for almost a month or so. So I think we played a strong preseason schedule. We played really good teams. We were able to get some quality wins that as the season went on, they looked even more important, a la BYU, a la Utah. And wins like that. We played hard games against Arizona and Cincinnati and some teams that are in the tournament. And, I think, as they say, we've built a strong resume. So we're proud of what we've done. And I haven't talked to the other coaches. I believe it's enough to feel good about this coming Sunday being in the field.
How long have you felt that way?
Probably about a week.
I
thought it was important that we go win at Vegas and then win at home against Nevada.
Right.
If you lose to Nevada at home, your last game, they're a 300 RPI team, then people might put it in discussion. Hey, wow, that was a bad loss. We really don't have a lot of bad losses on our record. The losses that we have are against, top 50 teams, top 30 teams. So, we played a competitive schedule. We've won a lot of really good games, and the games we've lost are not disastrous.
Yeah, you and I are on the same exact page there. I thought as soon as you guys won on the road at Vegas, I said, okay, they righted the ship after the disappointing loss at Boise State. And Boise State, which has the Mountain West Conference Player of the Year, which by all accounts looks like they're going to be in the field of 68 as well. So I'm with you on that one, Dutch. So you get set now, and it's an undetermined field here for the Mountain West Conference. You will play the winner of UNLV and Nevada, and any fan here who pays attention to your program knows these are the last two opponents that you face. So I wonder what kind of advantage that is for you, and if you consider that to be any sort of advantage perhaps for them, the fact that you just saw these two teams in the final week of the regular season.
Yeah, it's definitely an advantage. The fact that we don't have to go back and say we played them a month ago. What have they changed? What are they doing different? Who's stepping into more prominent roles? I mean, we're pretty comfortable with the teams we're playing. Now, does that mean they're not going to play well and have a chance to beat us? Yeah, that can happen any game. But from a coaching standpoint, we feel like we've seen what they're trying to do. We have a pretty good idea on how to stop it and how we want to attack them offensively. So now it's just a case of going out and playing. The preparation comes then if you happen to get that first win is to say, what do we know about Colorado State? What do we know about the other opposition that we haven't played in 2 or 3 weeks? What have they changed that we have to become familiar with in a hurry?
How do you coach differently? What's different about coaching in a tournament where, in the best case scenario, you're going to play 3 straight days? What's different about your coaching strategies under this setup versus the regular season?
I think the nice thing is, Darren, is we've played a deep bench all year. So I think 3 games in 3 days, if we're fortunate enough to get to the championship, which is our goal, is that we have the legs to do it. We have enough bodies to put in there where by game 2 or game 3, guys are worn out, they're exhausted. The nice thing about our team is we've proven we can go 9 or 10 deep with Polee back. That's an extra piece that is going to be really important to us moving forward. And I feel like we're at full strength and healthy, which is the first time we've been that in a while.
But minutes-wise, do you expect it to be about the same as the rotation was all regular season, or do you tweak that a little bit?
I think for the first game, the minutes will probably be the same. And then based on how we look, are we showing signs of fatigue? Did we play a guy 36 minutes in the first game, and we just know we better cut down strategically, maybe 5 minutes here or there off a guy's minutes just to give him that extra rest? That's something that, we'll watch and have a feel for as these games progress.
Yeah, because you can see it, and I flip on the television and I watch some of these smaller conferences. I think I was watching the Iona Manhattan one last night. You could see these teams down the stretch, Dutch, final 7-8 minutes or so. They've played so many days in a row, however many it is, 2-3 days in a row, you go, gosh, they look like they have no legs left. So I'm sure you see the same thing when you watch.
Absolutely. The jump shot is a little short because
right.
your legs are tired. You can't get into it. Maybe you travel because you're fatigued. You can't get your feet underneath you. And, yeah, fatigue plays a role. These kids aren't used to playing consecutive days. There's always at least 2 days between games unless you're in a preseason tournament. So that hasn't happened in a while. And so now to play the guys that have to play in the play-in games, if they're fortunate, 4 straight days, that's a lot of basketball. And so these kids aren't used to it. They love it. They'd rather do that than practice. But still, as a coach, you sit there and wonder, who's fatigued? Who do we need to get out and when?
We're talking to Brian Dutcher. He's the associate head coach, the HCIW at San Diego State. Aztecs getting set to hit the road. They'll go to Las Vegas. They'll play UNLV or Nevada. That's their first game, 6 o'clock here on the Mighty 1090 tomorrow. On Thursday. Dutch, if I might, you honored your seniors, which was great, to watch those, the 3 players come off, the 1 player come on. It's one of my favorite moments in sports. We've talked about this before. But I wonder how satisfying it was for you and for the coaching staff to see that the Mountain West Conference, that the coaches have said J.J. O'Brien, first team All Mountain West Conference.
That's a great honor for J.J. And like we preach all year, it's not about individual honors. If the team wins, we'll all receive some recognition. And so I think if you were to ask J.J., would he rather have the wins or the reward, he would take the wins. And so that's something we preach as a team, that individual honors are great, and we're happy for the guys that get them. But this is a team sport, and if we play well, everybody will get recognition. And that was good to see. We had Winston on the second team, I think AQ maybe on the third team, Skyler Defensive Player of the Year, Cole Defensive Player of the Year, and JJ Defensive First Team. So we got some honors, and we got a lot of honors for our veterans, and that's always good to see.
Well, the media didn't put JJ on the first team. Yeah, what does the media know, right? But the coach...
I think the media, to be honest with you, Darren, I think the media sits there and they pull the stat sheet up and they look who scored the most points, who had the most rebounds, and that sort of thing. And the coaches are the ones that sit there and watch hour after hour of tape. And as they're getting ready to play and they see, boy, this guy makes a difference in this regard. Oh, man, how are we going to do this? And the thing with JJ is if they don't double team him, he scores. If they double team him, he finds the open man, gets the assist, and he guards extremely well. And that stuff, as you watch tape and you really study, you see. I think the Aztec fans have seen it, but it's nice to know that the other coaches that play against him realize his importance to us and his importance to the league.
Absolutely, and that was my whole point, not to knock or slander my own profession here, but when you get recognized that way from the guys who have to actually scheme and the guys who have to watch tape, and they know that it's not just about statistics with J.J. O'Brien. I was somebody who's kind of slobbered on him a little bit here on the radio. I was happy to see that he got nominated first team there, so that's good. Dutch, my final thing would be just about Dwayne Polee. And Polee played 13 minutes before your finale against Nevada. And I wonder the next 3 days here, just I don't know if rust is the right word, but at least getting him game action, hopefully, is it just all systems go for him? Try to get him as much game action as possible before you guys find out where you're heading for the NCAAs?
Absolutely. Get his game legs back underneath him, get his timing back together, and turn him loose. And, sometimes, special moments, special players step up. And maybe this is Dwayne's time to say, it's unfortunate I've had a sit, but now I'm back, and maybe he catches that magic over the next week or two, and we have a good run, a magical run. So Dwayne's going to be a big part of that. We're excited for him. And like I said, Darren, if that was you or I that missed all this time, we'd probably have 20, 30 extra pounds on us right now. But Dwayne's a thin guy anyway, so I think he could step on and run a whole game already. He haven't missed all that time. He's just built like that.
I have one quick follow-up, and not about Polee, but just something that popped into my head here before we let you go. Akil Quinn, we had him on the show last week, and he talked about Boise State. He says, we lost twice to Boise State, but we'll get another crack at those guys coming up in the Mountain West Conference Tournament. And I thought it was interesting that he said that, and obviously that's what you'd like, right? You like another crack at that team. How do you keep them focused, though, game by game here, knowing that your team seems, at least if Akil Quinn is any indicator whatsoever, your team wants another crack at Boise?
Yeah, I think that would be great because we know we'd be in the finals if we got it. So we're focused on getting there.
Right.
There's a lot of good teams between us and that point. I mean, Colorado State, when it's all said and done, has a better overall record than both us and Boise. They're 26-5. So they're 2+ on the win side on both of us. So, they're probably disappointed bitterly they didn't get a piece of the regular season title. Mm-hmm. And you talk about a team with a chip on its shoulder trying to get a piece of some title in the conference, they're going to come out there. So if we're fortunate to win game one, I would guess, unless there's some kind of upset, we would run against buzzsaw in Colorado State. So obviously that would be a great game. And if we're fortunate to get by that and Boise survives, we would see Boise. But this conference is good.
Yeah.
And there are going to be some upsets. The favorites don't always win, or else we just put it on paper and say, okay, this is how it ends. So there's going to be an upset or two along the way in this conference tournament. I've seen enough of them to know that, and hopefully we're not one of those casualties.
Wow, great stuff here today, Dutch. Always appreciate it. Thank you very much for the time, and best of luck this week in Las Vegas.
Thanks, Darren. We will see you when we get back.